The reason why I call it the Bob Mayhew Luncheon is
Yeah.
that I ran into Bob at a wake, a funeral for a mutual friend. And he and I ended up sitting at the same table and had a great chat, as we always did when we got together. And as we parted, I said, Bob, you know, I just love being with you so much that we should have a regularly scheduled lunch. And he said, that's a great idea. So we started having lunch once a month. And there were John Laxalt, who was Paul Laxalt's brother,
Okay.
and another man named Reese Taylor, and Bob and I. And then other people heard about it and wanted to join us. So Clyde Turner, who was the chairman of the board of Mandalay Resorts before Mike Anson, and Ted Quirk, and Terry Graves. We ended up, there were 8 of us, and at that point, I didn't want it to become so big a crowd that it was diluted, for Bob. So we cut it off at 8 people, and we would meet once a month at a little Swiss cafe on Tropicana that Bob enjoyed. And we'd have a great time, and we had one rule, that if Bob was telling a story or Bob was talking, nobody could interrupt him and no one could upstage him. So that went on for a number of years, and then finally, in 2008, at age 90, Bob succumbed, and he died, and it was a very sad day for me. Well, it was, to my utter amazement, his 2 sons called me with the sad news about Bob dying,
wow.
but they said, Dad said he wanted you to do his obituary, or his eulogy, rather.
Yeah.
So, of all the people to do it, my opening line of the eulogy was Bob Mayhew was the kind of man that should be eulogized by a king or a president, not by Joe Brown. But
Absolutely.
so, and that was in August of 2008. So a couple months went by, and I really missed those lunches and got the idea from one of the other fellows who had been an attendee, Jerry Dondero was his name, to just continue having lunches, but have interesting speakers. Because we would always, with
Right.
Bob, the agenda when Bob was alive was getting Bob to tell stories of his fabulous career, but also discussing what was going on in the world, politics, or whatever the headlines of the news were.
Right.
And
That's wonderful.
so